Hey YouTube, thank you for joining me today. I want to talk to you about a common problem that is existing on the new transmissions on Mercedes, the 722.9. They are manufactured, I think, started in fall of 2004. They're in some S classes in 2004 and more common from 2006 and up on the E classes and the C classes. But the 722.9 looks a little different than the 722.6. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pause the video and go and show you how the 722.9 looks, and then we're going to come back and talk about this transmission a little bit. So hang on for a second. Forgive the mess a little bit. It's only for the purpose of showing you how the 722.9 looks like. This is the 722.9. This is, of course, the up section of the transmission. Usually when you look at the car from the bottom, you're not going to see that section. You're going to see the lower. But sometimes you can see these leaves over here from the lower section, and you know that you have the 722.9 transmission. Now, if you have the 722.9 transmission, you're up for some interesting ride on this transmission. I want to explain you a little bit, educate you a little bit, and give you some good advices so you can maintain your transmission in a better condition and make sure that it lasts longer. So bear with me, stay with me a little bit, and I'll show you. We are back at the shop right now, and I have a car here. It's an E-Class E350. It's a 2006, I believe, if I remember correct. And the problem on this car had it went into a limp mode, wouldn't shift out of second gear, and when I got the code on the start diagnosis, it came up with some miscommunication in the control module. There are a few different codes that can come up when you have a problem with the control module on the transmission, and I'm not going to get into the explanation of what is the control module. This video is for the more mechanically inclined people that are watching the YouTube versus the do-it-yourself people, because this is definitely not a do-it-yourself video. So if you think you're going to get a fast solution for a do-it-yourself transmission repair, this video is not for you. This is for the more educated, more mechanically inclined people that have the access and the ability to fix this control unit. So basically, if you have a control unit that come up with faults on miscommunication with the VGS or VGS defected, or speed sensors not reading on the turbine, or any kind of a transmission code that you get on a start diagnosis or a regular diagnosis, for the sake of argument, whatever diagnosis you work with, so you know you have a problem with the control unit. In the newer transmission, the 722.9, which is this specific one, the control unit is actually integrated inside the transmission. As you can see here, I already took the control unit and the valve body out. Of course, I drained all the oil, but as you can see, you have the holes over here that will read the speed sensors on the control unit from the spinning of the wheels inside the transmission. You see, I can turn that, and will report to the motor electronics how fast the car drives. According to that, it will decide if to upshift, downshift, maintain speed, or whatever is happening inside of the transmission. So whenever you have that issue of miscommunication or any kind of VGS or the control unit on the transmission, the internal transmission is not functioning, you have a problem on the conductor plate, known as a conductor plate. In that case, in the 722.9, it's known also as the VGS, or the transmission control unit. I want to show you how it looks like and what exactly it is. So bear with me and join me for this video. Okay, so on this transmission, I already took the valve body out, as you could see on the other transmission, and I actually broke it apart already. The transmission is built, the valve body is built from basically three different things that controlling it. One of them, of course, are the solenoids. The other one is the conductor plate, known on the older transmission, or the VGS known on this transmission, which is this black unit right here. And these are the speed sensors, by the way. These two here and this one here will read the information and give that to the control unit, which is this section right here. These are two caps that will shut down and open as it's necessary, as the level of transmission fluid fluctuates inside the oil pan. And the third one is actually the valve body itself that will control the flow of the oil and shift it to different places throughout the transmission. When you have a problem with the defective VGS or any other kind of malfunction of the speed sensor, turbine speed sensor, These are the things that are not working. And this is what you're going to have to change. This section right here. Now on the 722.9 transmission, you have to be licensed by Mercedes to be able to buy that part. If you're a homeowner or a car owner or the end user of the machine, you're not going to be able to purchase that part. That's why, as I said at the beginning of the video, this is not for the do-it-yourself people. This is more for the technicians that have shops and working on this type of transmissions. So this is basically what you're going to have to replace. On some models, you can't replace only that. You have to replace the whole section, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so the certain transmissions, you have to replace the valve body and the conductor plate, and that comes from Mercedes already integrated together. And basically you just remove the valve body and reinstall the new valve body. So if you have any questions, or you've not subscribed to my YouTube videos already, or you want to get any information about the transmission and how to repair it, you're more than welcome to drop me a line and ask me any question you may have. This video was about explaining about the problems that you may have on the transmission and how to fix it. And again, for all the mechanic, intuitive people out there that think or want to do it themselves and save the money, unfortunately at that point, you will not be able to do it yourself. You have to hire a licensed, somebody that authorized to buy these parts from Mercedes, or take it to a Mercedes dealer. Either way, as I said at the beginning of the video, okay, now I remember. The beginning of the video, I wanted to explain you how to be able to avoid this situation that you have to replace it. And one of the things that I see over and over again in the shop here is that a lot of people do not service their transmissions. So hang with me tight 1 second. I gotta wash my hands, and I want to explain you what you have to do. Okay, before I went to wash my hands, I told you that I'm going to explain you what are the things that you have to do to be able to maintain your transmission and to avoid the defective VGS. So as you can see on this valve body, you see these deposits right here. These are things that coming from the clutches of the transmission, and since this is a 7-tronic transmission, 7 gears transmission means it's got more clutches than the average car or the average transmission that Mercedes makes. And what happened is these deposits that comes from the clutches will eventually travel into the electronic section of, let's see if you can see it here, into the electronic sections of the transmission control module. And if you're familiar with the crankshaft position sensor, and you should if you stay watching this YouTube so far, the crankshaft position is a magnet, basically, exactly like the ones here, that will read the information, and when it gets polluted or get dirty, it stops functioning. So the same here on this control unit. What would happen is this clutch debris will get inside the control unit and pollute everything and start to make miscommunication, or stop making the control unit respond to information or give information to different solenoids. By the way, one of the other messages that you can get on the transmission control unit is that one of the solenoids is not responding. A lot of time is because these ones right here are getting dirty. Some of the times, of course, is because the solenoid is not working anymore, but a lot of the time is because the communication between these two over here and the VGS are getting contaminated by the debris that you have inside from the clutches, and it's just not transferring the pulse or the current into the solenoid. So what you have to do to make sure that things like that not happening is just service the transmission. A lot of people service their motors, but they forget about servicing the transmission. One of the most important things is to remember that you do have to service the transmission, although it's a closed transmission and not intended for the end user to play with it or mess with it or check levels or anything else. It is a transmission that needs to be serviced. My recommendation is to do it at 50,000 miles. Every 50,000 miles, which means every average of 4 services on the motor, to do 1 service on the transmission. And of course, you don't have to drop the whole valve box. You just have to drop the oil pan, change the filter, change the gasket, and put back again 8 quarts of fresh Mercedes oil. If you do that, you can guarantee yourself and assure yourself that your transmission will function much better, stay alive longer, and you will avoid a very costly repair on the transmission. By the way, a repair like that of changing this conductor plate, the cost of that, the list I think is about $1,200 on the conductor plate and the valve body. And if you add the cost of the fluid, the cost of doing programming on that, and by the way, that's another reason that the end user cannot do it, because after you install this valve body, you have to program that. You have to do what is called SCN coding to the transmission, which is basically the adaptive process of the transmission to changes in the clutches and driving habits and stuff like that. But it's going to have to go through coding, which costs money, and of course the fluid, the filter. So it's a service that easily can get to $2,000. So if you prevent this buildup on your transmission by servicing it every 50,000 miles, you're going to save yourself about $2,000 every 95,000 miles. And you're going to extend the life of the transmission and get better results on the shifting. So don't save the money on the service on the transmission. Make sure you're servicing it every 50,000 miles, and you'll assure yourself the money stays in your pocket and not in the manufacturer's accounts. Appreciate you joining me and watching my YouTube today. If you have any question or any comment, you're more than welcome to shoot me a line, write me an email, and I'll respond as soon as I can. Thank you very much.